Hey, what's up, everybody? It is TJ, co host of the Now Mind You podcast, back again with another review of Tokyo Revengers. It is April 5th, 2022, so a new chapter just dropped, right? This is chapter 248, Tokyo Revengers, of course, written by Ken Wakui, titled Long Time No See. Now, before we go any further, as usual, note that there are spoilers for chapter 248 in this, so if you're not ready yet, pause right now or come back to this once you have read the chapter. Or if you don't care, please continue on. Let's get into it. As usual, I usually like to start with the previous chapter's last panel. Last panel we had in 247, about 2 weeks ago. Can I hear a help me from Taka-chan? Said Hakai. Hell no, you dumbass, as Mitsuya and Hakai versus the Haitani brothers, Ran and Rindo, is set up. Let's get into the summary. We open up on a flashback of a young Mitsuya taking his siblings to a local festival. He pauses mid-festival as he notices a gang passing through the crowd, and that gang was led by the Haitani brothers. A young Mitsuya couldn't help but be impressed by the presence of Roppongi's charismatic duo. We then jump to the present, which then picks up from last week's, 2 weeks ago's chapter, right? The Haitanis face-to-face with the second-generation Toman's duo in Mitsuya and Hakai, right? Haitani Ran then predicts that you guys will die in about 5 minutes. Of course, Hakai, ever the hothead when it comes to anything to do with Mitsuya, falls for the bait. Meanwhile, Senju, who was on a quest to defeat at least 100 opponents on her own, runs into her brother Haruchio, right? Looks like we're getting that altercation. Cut back to Mitsuya in the shipping containers, finding a bloodied Hakai, but it was a trap. The ambush occurs as the Haitani brothers look on atop a shipping container, right? Cut to Inupi confronting Koko, but Waka steps in. We get that battle set up. Cut back to the ambush where mid-scuffle, Mitsuya scolds Hakai into waking up. Looks like the prediction by Ran was wrong. In turn, Mitsuya makes a prediction of his own. Last panel, in 5 minutes, you're going to all be beaten up with a heart emoji, says Mitsuya, cracking his knuckles and grinning. We'll show you real charisma, says Hakai, while grinning and giving what we assume to be the Haitanis a thumbs down. Let's get into the review. First and foremost, shout out to Ken Wakui and staff for recovering from COVID and being healthy, right? There was nothing but gas in chapter 248. Now, remember how I said in my review of chapter 247 how I wanted to see Senju versus Haruchio? Well, that just got set up. The flashback of Mitsuya at the festival with his siblings basically being a single dad and raising them, shout out to him for being such a good older brother, it felt a little like a shoehorned retconning. I don't know if we necessarily needed this. Don't get me wrong, I like it, but I don't know if it was necessary. It somewhat has the same vibe, same energy as how they retcon the Kawaragi Sanzo family into Maike and Baji's childhood. I mean, if Wakui didn't do that, we wouldn't necessarily get the setup I mentioned earlier in, Haruchio versus Senju, right? Once again, the Tokyo Revenger backgrounds, especially in this final arc, and continuity are undefeated. All these brawls are still going on in the background. The background is super detailed. It's like, you got to appreciate the work that's being put in. Not going to lie, I didn't expect Hakai to be that much of a meathead. I mean, he really falls into that literal trope, not thinking, just going in head first, quite literally. Also, I know Mitsuya wasn't expecting the Haitani brothers, Ran and Rindo, to shoot the fair one. They are literally notorious for not shooting the fair one. Side note, though, you think the Haitani brothers were ducking, smiling, and angry while they were out there? Specifically angry? If you know, you know, right? Shout out to the final battle of the Tenjiku arc. Now, even if Inupi gets past Wakasa, right? Again, I still want to know why Wakasa switched over so damn fast. I doubt it's going to be a physical altercation with Koko. More than likely, it's going to be a face-to-face. What with their relationship, all that tying around Koko's love for Inupi's, sister and her death, etc. Also, it looks like in this chapter, Inupi isn't wearing heels anymore. It looks like they got swapped out for boots, or maybe I just, saw it wrong. I don't know. I'll probably have to go back to either, I want to say chapter 246 or chapter 245. But yeah, it looks like his heels are no longer there. Now, that being said, cutting back to the Mitsuya versus the Cannon fodder, Mitsuya is still a legend. Remember, he was like one of the OGs who started Toman in the first place, right? Even when the odds are stacked against him, he's taken out all of that Cannon fodder by himself. He's the one who basically made Erlan's prediction at the beginning of this chapter ring false, all right? Another side note, every single character in this series, if we really take it into consideration and we step out of the realm of manga and fiction, right? They are either have some serious brain trauma or they're about to get some, because, geez. And then, funny thought with that final panel, why are their necks so long in that last panel? Like, Hakai and Mitsuya's necks are just ridiculously long. Shout out to all the folks who post the giraffe memes in the subreddit, because they have never made more sense than in that last panel. Let me get into my predictions and questions. Now, will we actually see Hakai in action for real this time? Right? Because that was really just a teaser, if we're being 100% honest. I can see Mitsuya and Hakai mopping the floor with the Haitanis if the Haitanis don't break out any weapons. They probably will, though, because that's their MO. But then again, no one on Toman is really a slouch anymore, right? So even if the weapons come out, it might still end up being in Mitsuya and Hakai's favor regardless. Because also, being juxtaposed or being on the same side as our main protagonist, Takemichi, is like, and then the buff that his first win against Kakucho gave them, right? They should be still kind of flowing off of that. Is Senju going to freeze up? I mean, that's her versus her brother, and we all know the trauma that still has on her, the trauma that she's still experiencing, if we're being 100% honest. How's Takemichi doing? Like, how's that round 2 battle with Kakucho going, right? Especially now that Kakucho has acknowledged him, is it still going to be the same as that initial punch that sent Kakucho across the battlefield, right? Will Wakasa versus Inupi, will Wakasa go all out? I still have that theory about him and Benkei pulling a Baji. Mikey's probably still perched up on a shipping container. How's Chifuyu doing in his rematch versus Mochi, right? There was quite a bit of heat in this chapter, in all honesty. And again, I still want to throw this out there. What's up with Senju's older brother, Akashi, right? He has to be aware of what's going on. He's a former Black Dragon, part of the first gen, and I have a feeling he's got to play a role in Toman's victory. Also, we can't forget that he was a part of that one Darkest Timeline with Bonten, right? Did that get switched up? Did enough change for that outcome to switch up? I'm curious, right? All in all, great chapter, and I can't wait to read and just enjoy everyone else's thoughts. A big shout out as well to the Tokyo Revengers subreddit. Y'all are giving these a lot of love, and hopefully you're able to see what else we have to offer as the Now Mind You podcast, right? Thank you, everybody, for giving this a watch and a listen. And yeah, if you like what you're hearing, as always, please hit up the main podcast and give it a follow at Now Mind You Pod on Instagram. And if you'd like to follow what I do, you can hit me up on Instagram at Tuss4Skate. That's TUSS4_SKATE. Peace, y'all. I'll see you on the next one. Bye.